Now, thank you for joining us. We're live there, and apologies for the delay in getting the slides and then the stream up. We're about to go live, and of course, the tech lets us down. But good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, a warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us today. My name is Noel Davidson, and I'm the lead trainer with the Entrepreneurs Academy. And we're really delighted to be working with the local enterprise office in Cork to deliver this live webinar as part of the Student Enterprise Programme 2023-2024. And have we got something really valuable for you today? So let's talk about why we're here. We're diving into one of the most essential yet often overlooked aspects of entrepreneurship, which is refining your business idea. You may have a spark, a little seed of a concept, but how do you turn that into a fully formed, market-ready business venture? How do you go from the little eureka moment of I have an idea to let's actually do this in a smart way? So there's some key questions there, and we'll unravel those today. We've about 40 minutes together, and we'll walk through the crucial steps in refining a business idea. We'll discuss key considerations like scalability and market demand. And yes, for those of you who love a little bit of competition, we'll even have an interactive quiz. So make sure you have your thinking caps on, and you're going to need your mobile devices to be able to do that. We have a lot to cover, so I promise to make it as engaging and as interactive as we possibly can. Now, we're going to make it easy to be able to ask questions. So if I can ask you with your mobile device, if you want to scan that QR code, or if you want to put it into your browser, menti.com 8474 8796. So that's the manual way of entering it. If you're close to the screen in your classroom and you're able to scan that QR code, it'll automatically pop in on your screen. If not, if you go to menti.com and put in 8474 8796, and you'll be able then to log in. Now, throughout the session today, you'll be able to ask questions. So you can ask me anything. The questions will pop up on the screen here, and we'll be able to take them live. So I'll come back to that later on, and I'll remind you, but that's live for you, and you can do that. And I can see the little love hearts being clicked on the first screen, which is when we've got 6 people logged in, which is fantastic. So delighted to see you do that. So let's kick it off. When we talk about refining your business idea, there's a couple of things that I wanted to cover. And you often hear people say about thinking outside the box. Well, some of the words that we're going to cover today, brainstorming, creativity, innovation, idea generation, scamper, evaluate your ideas and solve problems. There are a lot of themes, a lot of important words that you will hear, but you often hear people say thinking differently or thinking outside the box. So a really quick exercise for you. If you have a sheet of paper, if you have a tablet with you and you want to put things on it, I'd like you to put those 9 dots on a sheet of paper. So 3 across, 3 down in that line. A quick task. With those 9 dots on a sheet of paper, can you draw 4 straight lines through the dots so that they're all covered? The lines have to be connected. You can't lift the pen off the paper. It has to be one continuous line. We'll give this 30 seconds. See if you can do it. Draw 9 dots on a sheet of paper. Draw 4 straight lines through the dots, but the pen cannot leave the paper. Go for it. We'll give you 30 seconds on that. So how did you do? 9 dots on a sheet of paper and draw 4 straight lines through the dots so that they're all covered. The lines have to be connected and you can't lift the pen off the paper. Well, if you did this, you've got it. And sometimes you really do literally have to think outside the box. It was so easy to try and constrain ourselves. You thought you had to stay between the lines, whereas to complete that task, you have to go outside the box, literally. So you will have a small idea. You might have a good idea, But where do really good ideas come from? Well, I wanted to give a couple of examples of ideas that used to be really good and now have a better chance of succeeding because of the way the environment has changed, or maybe the way a policy is going from a government, or whatever the case may be. So these are solar roof tiles, but shaped as clay tiles. So somebody said, why would we put roof tiles on a roof and then put a solar panel on top of it? Why could you not make the panels incorporated into the roof tiles? And why do they always have to be grey? Good idea. And very, very of the time today. Then you might take that idea and then you might change it a little bit and go, well, why does it have to be solid? Why could it not be thin and flexible? So this is a pop-up school. It is in Sudan, in Africa. And this school arrives on a trailer in the back of a Jeep. And the tent is the main schoolhouse, but they drape a cover over the top of it. And on the cover, there are flexible, thin solar panels. All the students use iPads, and there's a little small projector that's battery operated, and it's projected up onto a white sheet on the side of the wall. Really good idea. But it's taking an existing one and changing it slightly. They're still solar panels, but they're now soft and flexible. You may have some younger sisters and brothers, and as they're growing, their feet get bigger, but their shoes don't. And your mums and dads might have bought a pair of shoes, and after 6 months, then they're nearly out of date. What if you could actually extend the shoe? You get the same technology that's in a bendy bus, and you put it into a shoe. On the heel there's a little cap. You take it off and you can dial the shoe up 2 or 3 sizes, and it comes with the inserts to be able to make sure that the child's foot grows correctly. Good idea. And then we have some amazing little simple ideas, like the pop-up Gaeltacht. It started in Dublin, believe it or not, and it went countrywide, where it was, instead of a pop-up shop, it was a pop-up area where Gaeltacht speakers could join and have chats with other people. This is one of my favourites. This is Izzy's Wheels. And Izzy's Wheels was founded by Irish sisters Alva and Izzy Keane from Galway. The idea was inspired by Izzy, who was born with spina bifida and is paralysed from her waist down. Izzy has always seen her wheelchair as a symbol of freedom, but never felt it expressed her personality. So Alva created a range of colourful wheel covers for her sister's chair, and as our final year project in the National College of Art and Design in 2016. And this is her website. So they now sell their wheel covers worldwide, and they're themed. They've signed up with Disney, and they're able to do fashionable wheel covers with characters from Disney, Marvel and Star Wars. Really, really simple idea, but hugely, hugely successful. So let's run a little bit of a quiz. So menti.com 84748796, or that QR code that you have there. So the test that it's working, you can ask questions at any stage, and I'll throw them up on the screen. But let's kick this off as a little small quiz. In your opinion, what is the most crucial aspect of refining a business idea? So there's 4 selections there, and I'm going to ask you to reorder them in your preferred order of importance. And you'll start to see them move around the screen depending on your votes. So we have 3 or 4 people logged in there. I'm going to remind you again. I'll throw it up on the screen here. So will I move myself out of the way? So there is the code. Let me pop it up to full. So menti.com 84748796. You'll be able to scan that there, and we'll see plenty of votes coming in there now. We've got 9 people voting so far. And you can start to see them reorder as the votes come through. We've got 13 people voting in there, which is brilliant. So we'll give this a few more minutes. So what is the most crucial aspect of refining a business idea? Is it innovation, financial feasibility, market research, or scalability? Now, market research is starting to go up to the top, and it's starting to take over. And I would argue that out of all those four, yes, market research is probably the most important piece. Because if you're refining a business idea, you want to build the demand. Somebody needs to want and to use the product or the service that you're building. So as a result, I think asking people and doing a little bit of market research is a really good idea. So financial feasibility turns it from being a hobby into a business. So the two do go together. All four of these are important, but it was just to figure out what we think might be the top answer in that. So let me ask another question. Which of the following should you not consider when refining a business idea? The potential for high profits, current market trends, your personal interest level, or following what competitors are doing blindly. So we'll see where the votes are going on that one and which one we might think is right. So which of the following should you not consider when refining a business idea? Potential for high profits, current marketing trends, your personal interest level, and following what your competitors are doing. So we have 37 people in the room voting. Well done. This is fantastic. And we'll have a little quiz. We'll get you to sign in so your name can appear at the top of the leaderboard here in a second. We'll see. I'll give that another few seconds and we'll see how we get on. Brilliant. Okay, so let's see what the correct answer is. Of course it is. Following what competitors are doing blindly. It's one thing to be innovative, but it's another thing to forge a path that somebody else hasn't traveled and lead from the front. And I think that Izzy and Alva did this really, really well. Something that was new, something that was innovative, and something that people hadn't seen before. So we know there are hundreds of ideas out there, and not all are good ones, if we're to be honest. So how do you get a good idea? Well, you look for needs, you watch trends, you listen for complaints, problems, or pains, and then you get creative about building a business around them. Now, there's a formula to this. And when you come up with a business, you might mind map a few things, have your first idea, your second idea, your third idea, your fourth idea. It's called prototyping, where you come up with the general idea, but then it changes over time. So when you're thinking about how to do this, a little bit of a skill that we use, and this is an exercise that you can do after the webinar is over, we want you to list all the areas of skills or interests on your team, things that you like doing, things that you have a talent for, and you list all those areas around in a circle. You brainstorm all the complaints, problems, or needs that are associated with each of these skills. And it's about quantity, not quality. Let me give you an example. So if I was in a group, I might put myself or the group in the middle, and I might put down things that I have a talent for or that I like doing, I have an interest in. So I love dogs. I always grew up with various dogs in the family. Love dogs. We've always had dogs. One of my favorite things. I love music. And all types of music. Used to play guitar and I used to be in a band. Love music. So I put that down. My hobby is sailing. So whenever I can, I get out on the water. I've sailed various different boats from lasers to cruisers, and I love getting out on the water when I can. I like tech. I like computers. I like cars. I watch all the reviews of cars on YouTube. Used to watch Top Gear years ago when it was a big thing. It's not so big now, but I'll put that down. I like travel and I like movies. As you look at those, if I could join one or two together and try and build a business with any one of them, which one would I choose? Out of it, it'd be a toss-up between movies and music, but I'm going to go for movies. So you put movies in the middle, and then you brainstorm all the trends, all the complaints, all the things that are happening with movies. So movies are all about telling stories. They're really easy to capture now because we have our mobile phone with us all the time. It's very easy to record. And then there's lots of online tools available to edit them. Then you can share it on YouTube. And one of the other problems that is that people don't read anymore. We watch movies quite a lot. So maybe a business idea might be generating animated explainer videos, because if people don't read anymore, a short 30-second video explaining on how to do something saves them from reading the manual. And many, many businesses did that. Now, remember, I had music in it as well. So Spotify, when they launched, did an explainer video, got an explainer video made, an animated video explaining what Spotify was. My business idea is to make these explainer videos using some of the online tools. And this is what it came out as. Very simple when you see it, looking back in hindsight. Somebody had to explain Spotify to somebody who'd never seen it before. And the easiest way was generated an animated explainer video. That could be a business. The formula for doing that is putting down all the things that you like doing, picking one, and then coming up with all the pains, problems, trends associated with it. And then you might come up with a spark of an idea. To refine it, then you have to think about other things that you could add in. So your task after the webinar is over, at some stage, is to draw that little sun diagram and list all the areas of skills or passions of yourself and the group on your team, and choose one area to start a business from on the list. And if you would pick it, what would you then do? So you flip the page, start a new diagram, put that area of interest in the center, and list all the trends, pains, problems, and get creative with ideas to address those issues. Take about 20 minutes to do that exercise, and you will come up with some really good ideas that you might then try and innovate and re-innovate again. Here is a company, a student company from South Cork, and they were in the Student Enterprise Programme a couple of years ago, and they were called Smooth Remove. They sat at a table doing that exercise in a hotel in Cork. This was pre-COVID. And on the middle of the table, that whole team got together and they put down their hobbies and their interests and put down things around the side. And they came out with a few things that they liked doing and then started to talk about problems. And one person at the table said, my grandparent finds it difficult to take their shoes off. Could we fix that problem? And they built this prototype, an aid to remove footwear. So you put it on the ground, click your heel in, and helps you remove the shoes. They took that idea and then tried to incorporate into something else. And they incorporated into a box that you could store the shoes in. And this is Smooth Remove, who actually won that year, and this is the video from RTE television.
Now, a shoe removal aid developed by students from Boherbue Comprehensive School in Cork has taken the top honours at the Student Enterprise Awards.
And the winner in the senior category.
Smooth Remove!
A handy shoe removal aid.
These kids got together and they have built up what is actually a very impressive business. They're selling all over the country. They're actually selling even into the UK now. So they have learned an awful lot from the Student Enterprise Programme.
Student entrepreneurs building businesses for the future. Petula Martin, RTE News.
Very simple idea, but worked effectively well. And it all started with that formula, putting down your hobbies and interests and then brainstorming around what problems we could solve. So what's next? Well, taking your idea or product or service to another level, we use Scamper. So Scamper stands for these words. S, substitute or swap. C is combine. A is adapt. M is modify or magnify. P, put to another use. E, to eliminate or elaborate. And R, to reverse. So when you come up with your idea, ask yourself these questions. Could we substitute one thing for another? Could we combine one thing into another? Could we change or adapt something to make it a little bit different? Could we modify one part of it or make it the core part of what we're trying to do? Could we put one part of it to another use, change it in a different way? And that's where the idea of the box came with shoe remove. After we take the shoes off, where do we put them? So we might have to adapt. The A pops in then. Could we eliminate one part of it or elaborate on something? So can we make it smaller, more condensed, or could we make it bigger and have a greater reach? Or could we change the thing around completely and reverse it? So remember Scamper. To substitute or swap, to combine, to adapt, to modify, to magnify, to put to another use, to eliminate or elaborate, or to reverse completely. It gives a framework for coming up with maybe a different way of looking at your idea. Then check, is your idea an original new concept? Or is it a combination or an adaptation of something else? So just check that you're not infringing on somebody else who has had that idea. And you can do that by looking at the Intellectual Property Office of Ireland. You can search on Google, or you can use social media to see, is somebody doing what you're doing out there? And you can still change and make it a little bit different. I'm going to introduce you to another past winner of the Student Enterprise Programme within their county. This is the amazing Anthony Gorman. And Anthony is going to be very busy over the next couple of months selling, but he's been very busy all year making a product all year round that's going to sell in the next 6 weeks. Have a look at this and we'll have a quick chat.
Hello, my name is Anthony Gorman and my business name is Anthony's Wooden Crafts. My product is my wooden reindeers and they're made from 100% ash. They're the best seller in Dunnes stores during the Christmas time. I took part in the Student Enterprise Programme county final when I was in 3rd year and I was attending Tullamore College. 2018 is when I won the county final and I went on to the Ireland final. Ever since the county final, it's just given me a great boost and a great belief in my product. My business idea came 3 years ago. I came into school and I went into business, my business class, and they were all doing different topics on different types of business. No one picked entrepreneurship. I always was doing stuff in the shed with my dad. My dad always does something in the shed. He'd be spraying up stuff or anything like that, or welding anything. So I always had a great love for woodwork. And I was just messing around in the shed and I made up like this thing and I was like, it looked kind of like a horse, so it didn't really look like a reindeer at all. And then just one idea led to the next. I brought it into my nanny and she said, it'd be great to put on lights on the reindeer and that would be lovely. So she had lights and she put on the reindeers and I glued them on and then brought it inside to my mum and dad and they said the noses now would be brilliant. And it just one thing led to another then and just kept improving my reindeer. The biggest challenge of my business was probably reaching the demand for my reindeers. The first year of my reindeers, and I put up on Facebook, was mental. There was no way I could have reached it. There was definitely over 100,000 messages on my phone, and there was no way I could have reached it. That was my biggest challenge because I just couldn't reach that target. So I had to set a smaller target, and just every year it's overwhelming the demand for my reindeers. Yeah, my production process, it starts off when I go to the local supplier in Killy, and his job is to take down trees if they're like overcrowding the forest to stop other trees from growing, or if they're a danger to like a house or a building or anything, if it's like going to fall in the house. So to stop him from using it for firewood or fossil fuels, I take it off him to reuse the wood, and ash lasts years so it doesn't rot. And then come home, chop it up and get them into all the right measurements, and then get my lights and my bubbles and just plough into it, then have all the right measurements and get them going and make sure the quality's there. Taking part in the Student Enterprise Awards was really what made my business. It really gave me a feel for what taking over a business is really about and the responsibility that comes with a business. I went to the county final in Offaly, the intermediate one, and just meeting all the judges and talking about my business gave me a really feel of that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to actually take this on full time. My highlight of being an entrepreneur was the first time, the first Dun stores the Rangers got into was in Newbridge of 2021. And I remember on a Sunday, me and my family we went up just to see them displayed in Newbridge, and we brought up 100 the day before we went up, and just to see that there was only 5 or 6 left in Duns was probably the biggest highlight. And all the people just coming in, I think when we got there was two girls, and they're looking at them and brought over their parents, and the parents bought the Rangers, and that was probably the biggest highlight. Just to see them on the shelf and they're flying out was probably the biggest highlight.
That's Anthony O'Gorman, an amazing guy, and really busy. And he has changed his idea and added other things to it. So he's making small little baubles. He's in snowmen and Santi-men this year, and he's also be doing garden furniture as well. Now we do have one question just popped up on the screen. You're very welcome to ask any questions you can. And somebody has asked, why is innovation important? Well, innovation, it's a really vital component for the growth and success of any business. It gives you a competitive advantage, so it can provide a substantial edge over your competitors. Innovation can lead to more effective processes, advanced technologies, new product lines, and that are better suited to customer needs. It is all about market research and innovating based on the answers you can find. So when you can meet customer and consumer needs, because they're always evolving, innovating allows a business meet new demands rapidly, ensures that it doesn't fall out of relevance. So innovation is a huge part. Now, let's continue with a little quiz. So I'm going to ask you again, pop in your menti.com. We have, I think, 77 people in the room, which is brilliant. So what I'm going to ask you to do, let's go on to the quiz part of it. So I'm going to ask you, we've got 3 questions. Sign in with your name and choose an avatar, and let's see where we'll go. So it has to be a real name, because if we do want to give you a little prize later on, it'll have to be a real name. We have to know who you are. So let's see where we go. We've got 50 people popping in. Let's see how this goes. 53, 54. So we're all hovering there around the 50 mark, because I know you're changing your name to your proper name, because if you're going to win something, yeah, you have to make sure that you have the right name on it. Brilliant. So we're just up around 60 people all entered in. So 3 questions. Let's see how we get on. Yeah, so we're hovering in around the 63 mark. All right. So question number 1. The faster you answer, the more points you get. So let's have a go. On your mobile device, what is the first step in refining a business idea? Is it developing a marketing strategy? Is it conducting market research? Is it securing funding? Is it designing a prototype? What is the first steps in refining a business idea? Which one would you choose? Well, we have 27 people have said the correct answer was conducting market research. 18 people said developing a marketing strategy. 2 said securing funding, and 11 said designing a prototype. So 27 people, you're absolutely right. The very first thing to do is conduct market research. It helps you build something that has a demand. Now, let's see who was the fastest on that one. So let's see how it goes on to the leaderboard. So the quicker you answer, the more points you get. So Shami's in first. We got Olivia, Caroline, Amanda, Rick, Katie, Killian, Dermot, Arno, and James, all on the leaderboard. Now, it can change very fast depending on how quick you can answer. So let's go for question 2. 3 questions in total. Question 2, the faster you answer, the more points you'll get. What element is least important when evaluating a business idea? Which is least important? Is it the profit margin? Is it the market demand? Is it the personal interest? Or is it existing competition? Which element, and they're all important, but which one is the least important when evaluating a business idea? Well, 31 people have got it wrong. Your existing competition is the least important. No, it's not. It's your personal interest. And it's really important to say this. Don't let your personal interest get in the way. Your personal interest helps you do something that you like doing. But the most important element when evaluating a business idea is demand. Will people want it? Is there existing competition out there? And can it make money? Or is it just a hobby? Your personal interest sometimes can get in the way. So this is going to change everything now because only 18 people got that one right. So let's see what that does to our leaderboard. Who's the fastest person on that one? They're all adding up the scores. And it spins completely. So Amaya, you're at the top there now. Well done. James has jumped up into second place. Emma, Hannah, Aisling, Matthew, Ava. Simba was the fastest on that one. Well done, Simba. And Casey, Drummond and Shami. All right, all still on the leaderboard with one more question to go. So question 3, and the final question. Let's see who our winner of our quiz will be. The faster you answer, the more points you get. Which of the following is not a valid method for market research? So surveys and questionnaires, copying competitor strategies, observational research, and interviews and focus groups. Which of the following is not a valid method? Everyone voted, and of course 52 people have got it right. Absolutely. Copying competitor strategies. It's good to come up with your own. Absolutely it is, 100%. So let's have a quick look and see what that does to the board. Amaya, you actually got it. You stayed in front there. Well done. And take a bow. So I'm sure we'll find something and be able to get it to you for winning that. But well done. So the next steps, if you come up with an idea, it's original, it's a new concept, or has a new combination to adapt, check that nobody else has done it already. So your next tasks. In your workbook, these are the steps of developing a product or a service. You come up with your idea. You then screen your product or service, check that somebody else hasn't done it. What can you change it? Put it through the scamper method of innovation. You develop the concept for your product and your service. You test it, go out and start trialing it with family, with friends, and learn from what you think works and what doesn't work. Develop a prototype or redevelop the prototype. Test some marketing. How are you going to tell people about your product or your service? And then you launch your product or your service. And you learn as you go. So, thinking about your idea. Does your idea meet a need or solve a problem? Are there competitors out there? Do you have the needed resources to get your product or service up and running? Can you add value to ensure that it's better than what's out there already? Do you need funding? And how will you source funding to do that? What are the costs? What are the challenges? Will the idea be profitable? There's lots of questions to go through, and these are all in your workbooks. Are the risk factors acceptable? Is it safe? Is it legal? Is it sustainable? Have you completed the necessary research? And do we need additional information? So it's a chance to think and reflect. So in your workbook, don't be afraid to put down some of those ideas. And if you feel that the idea needs a bit more refining, don't be afraid to throw it away and start again. Go back to basics. And what I mean by basics is you can always go back to that little wheel that we drew, pick another topic that you like doing, and then start all over again. Many people in the past have done that. Now I'm just going to check on our questions. So I'm going to bounce back to our little question page, and I've got a few questions coming through, which is brilliant. So let me throw them up on the screen for you. Now we've got them up here. Lovely. So we'll click up the next one now. So let's bounce it in. Why is socializing important in a business? So socializing, getting out, meeting people, bringing your business idea gives you the opportunity to ask people questions, to try your product and service with somebody face to face and ask them what they think. So if you're in a social environment, you're out enjoying yourself, don't be afraid to bring up the topic of the Student Enterprise Program and what you're actually doing. How can we make something that is basic stand out? Some of the most basic items out there can just have a little bit small tweak to make them stand out. Cornflakes. There are 7, maybe 8 different variations of cornflakes when you go into a shop to buy them. There's the ones that are bronze, silver, and gold. So we go to the bronze level. They could the entry level yellow pack own brand cornflakes. There's nothing flashy about them. As you said, they're basic. So how do you make them stand out? Well, you can take that product and maybe make it a little bit more elaborate, more aspirational. So you'll see cornflakes might have fruit added to them, and they might have dried strawberries, dried bananas into the box with them, and they're at a higher price, and they'll call them the special cornflakes, like Special K. And that just stands out a little bit different because it has an extra feature to it. So when you think about your product, your service, see if you can add something else out to it to make it stand out. Now, let's see what else we've got into the question. Now, a really interesting one. So somebody said, why is copying wrong? Well, it's not actually. Let me mark them answered, and I'll bounce through the ones that I've answered. We'll go through them. So keep the questions going. So why did it say copying is wrong? Copying isn't wrong. Copying is a nice way to find a product or service that exists, but try and make it better. So don't just copy and do the same thing. Copy the solution, but make it better. And there's lots of people out there that have taken an existing business, copying it, but changing it. So a car wash, if you want to copy that idea, you can change it into a mobile car wash. Instead of you going to the car wash to get your car washed, we come to you. It's the same idea. We're copying it, but we're changing it. It becomes a mobile one. So let me see. I think we've answered all those. What else have we got? How do you make your idea for your company stand out? So it could be branding. It could be how it's different, how it's innovative. So if you look at what Tesla are doing with cars, it was innovative from a battery point of view. So they did something a little bit different with the batteries than the Nissan Leaf were doing, when that was the original car that was an electric car. The battery in a Leaf is not water cooled. In a Tesla, it is. So it didn't overheat and it could travel further. It could be charged quicker. And then Tesla decided to remove things like all the dials on a dashboard and just put an iPad in the middle. So that makes that product stand out a little bit more. I think we've answered most of the questions that are popped in. Let me see. There's one question there about sponsorship or endorsement. Really important, and you might add this into your Think and Reflect book as well. We will not buy something ourselves until we see somebody else has bought it first. So reviews and testimonials are really important. And sometimes people will pay an influencer to say that their product or their service is brilliant. And you'll see that happen a lot. So somebody has a lot of followers, a lot of influence, and they might be paid a fee to endorse their product. I would argue that the best endorsement is from your clients or your customers. Collect their reviews. It won't cost you any money. It costs you customer service. You have to look after your client or your customer really well, and then they in turn will look after you. And I think that's really important to stress, that you all have influencers. They will be your first client, your first customer, the first person that buys your product or your service and gives you really good feedback. So thank you for this afternoon. I promised you that we'd be the 40 minutes that we are. It's now just 20 to 3. If you've any further questions, don't hesitate to pop them in on Menti. That will stay live, and then we'll be able to get them out to your individual schools maybe at a future date. So thank you very much for tuning in, and the very, very best of luck with your student enterprise ideas, and we look forward to seeing how you progress over the next couple of months. Thank you very much.